Hey everyone, Joel Nelson here to tell you one thing you can do to make sure that the next big fish you hook, you're going to actually land. One of the things I see is people out on the ice skimping on their line. Now you've probably heard people preach and say that line is the most direct link between you and the fish. That's very true. In many respects, a spool of this line is going to cost far less than a scoop of minnows, maybe even your gas to get out to the lake. So think about it in terms of, hey, this is a really important investment you want to make. And what you see here is last year's line. I just stripped it off this spool. And one of the things that helps me determine when line is kind of extended or gone past its available use is I run it between my fingers and it feels gritty. The really bad stuff feels almost sandy, but I can feel individual kinks and tiny little marks all throughout this line that not only make it more prone to breakage and a kind of abrasion beating up on it and making it eventually snap, but it's also going to make it coil up and have all kinds of memory issues. And we as ice fishermen use these small reels with really tiny spools. And so as you tightly wind this line around it and it stays there, that memory gets worse and worse and worse as the line degrades more and more and more. So one of the #1 things I could tell anybody about ice fishing from year to year is to spool up with fresh line. When you spool up with fresh line every year, you're going to virtually eliminate all that lake day-to-day frustration that you're going to find with just simply trying to get the jig to go down the hole. So make it easier on yourself, spend a couple bucks on a spool of line, and make sure that you're good to go. Now once you've got that line, you want to go ahead and get it spooled up on tight. So I'm going to hold this kind of between my fingers to make sure that it's going onto the spool nice and tight. And typically I'm facing that spool directly up and coming right off at me. Now sometimes, depending on how it's wound, it needs to be upside down. But in this case, we've got clean line coming up the rod guides, and I can see that everything's coming up nicely. There's no tangles. What I can do is I can pull that line off the spool a little bit and then drop it. It should drop in nice, even flowing coils. When you drop it, if it twists up and binds, you're spooling it on backwards. What that means is that your spool is upside down if it's coiling up and twisting hard on you. So if it's nice and manageable and kind of smoothly flowing like it is now, you're doing everything right. So I got a couple more rods to do, but this is just kind of a cue for everybody. You should be doing yours too.